Right now, without thinking, you could lift one finger and change what another person sees. You do it constantly. Across a room, down a street, at a screen. You point, and another human turns their head, finds the exact thing you meant, and sees it too. It feels like nothing. But the real answer to what you are doing is far stranger than you think. That gesture, as ordinary as breathing, may be one of the most unusual things on earth. Almost nothing else does it. You can point a dog toward a ball, but the dog will never point back to show you something it finds interesting. A chimpanzee, sharing almost all of your genes, will go its whole life and almost never point at anything just to share it. So why do you? Long before you could say a single word, you were already pointing. Around your first birthday, with no language at all, you began aiming that finger at the world. And often you did it for no reason at all. You weren't always asking for something. Sometimes you pointed just to make another person look. To say, without words, "Look at that, with me." The scientists who study it believe it may be one of the deepest roots of what makes you human. There are two completely different kinds of pointing. The first is a demand. A baby points at a cookie on a high shelf because it wants it. Give me that. Researchers call this imperative pointing, and it is not so special. It is the second kind that changes everything. The second kind asks for nothing. You point at a sunset, a strange bird, a funny sign. You gain no food, no advantage. You simply want another mind to share the moment with yours. This is called declarative pointing, and you are one of the only creatures alive who does it. A wild chimpanzee has essentially never been seen doing it for another chimpanzee. The psychologist Michael Tomasello has studied this gap for decades. He argues humans are wired for shared intentionality, a drive to climb inside another mind and stand there together, looking at the same thing. When you point, you are reaching into someone else's attention and gently turning it. Tomasello's colleague Ulf Vygotsky watched 12-month-old babies when an adult lost something. The babies, who could not talk, pointed to where the object had fallen. They were not asking for it. They gained nothing. They were simply helping a mind that did not know what they knew. Watch what has to happen for a single point to work. You assume that if you aim your finger, the other person will not stare at the finger but follow it to the thing beyond. And they assume you meant for them to look. Two separate minds silently agree that one of them is steering the other's gaze. So where did this come from? One beautiful answer came from the psychologist Vygotsky. He imagined a baby reaching for an object just out of reach, fingers straining toward it. The baby is not communicating. It is only trying to grab. But then a parent sees the reaching hand and assumes it means something. The parent brings the object, or looks where the little arm is aimed. Slowly the child learns that outstretched arm is not just a grab. It is a signal. It moves other people. A failed attempt to seize the world quietly becomes a way to speak about it. The grasp becomes the point. This matters, because pointing is the doorway to language itself. Before you can name a thing, you and another person must silently agree you are attending to the same thing. Tomasello and Vygotsky found that the babies who point early tend to speak sooner. The finger comes first. The word follows the finger. A word is just a sound you make so another mind turns toward the idea you are holding. That is pointing, done with your voice. And it does not stop at language. Teaching is pointing. Look here, this is what matters. Culture is a long chain of people pointing across generations, saying, "This is worth your attention, now pass it on." There is even a clue in your own language. The finger you point with is called the index finger, from the Latin for the one that points. Now look again at the gesture you make without thinking. When you lift your finger, you assume another mind is nearby, that it sees what you see, and that you can guide it. You treat another person as someone you can think alongside, and they treat you the same way. A point is a tiny act of faith in other minds. It says, again and again, "You are not alone in here, come and look." The chimpanzee, brilliant as it is, mostly stays locked inside its own head. You were built to keep reaching out of yours. So the next time you catch yourself pointing at a bird, a building, a face in a crowd, notice what you are really doing. You are not just lifting a finger. You are throwing an invisible thread between your mind and someone else's, the same thread that long ago became language, teaching, and everything you were ever taught. It feels like nothing. And it may be the most human thing you will ever do.